duty as Americans, creepy Kentuckians, and Thrillbillies to do a USA wrestling special. And what better way, Uncle Bill? We actually, you want to talk about the idea? It's a good idea. There's the flag if you want to hang on to it. Because we're both proud Americans.
So here's the deal. It is the 4th of July. We got to do something special. We don't know what we're going to do. We're thinking about it. We come up with the idea of showcasing all of the Stars and Stripes Challenge featuring the legendary wrestler Lex Luger, who was responsible for many amazing matches across the board from WCW to WWF.
Yeah. So we're actually going to follow Lex Luger, starting at the Stars and Stripes Challenge all the way to SummerSlam, through all the Raw appearances and the Lex Express. You remember the Lex Express noodles?
Noodles does. Tell us
You remember the Lex Express noodles?
Tell us about Noodles.
So, yeah, we're going to do that. We actually have all the Raws from July and August of '93, and we're going to skim through them and talk about this great angle with Lex Luger that had a weird payoff. But we're going to get to that right now on the very special 4th of July Retro Wrestling Night. USA! USA! Oh no, weird. No, you're pausing now.
So
this is, yeah, it's a little something different, Uncle Bill. We're not reviewing a pay-per-view, we're reviewing, like, I guess, an angle that went over the course of the...
In 1993, apparently, there's this huge angle where history would take place aboard the USS Intrepid, and Lex Luger would rise from the ashes and be transported via helicopter to take part in the Stars and Stripes Challenge.
That was, yeah, July 4th, 1993. There was all kinds of people that tried. You know, you had Tatanka run towards him, fucking chopping him, and he was like, "Oh, I can't get him up." You had people from the fucking NBA, Major League Baseball, all these people. They couldn't do nothing. But then, you see the chopper coming in, and people start chanting, "Luger, Luger." No, they didn't.
Actually, they didn't, no.
They were chanting for Hogan.
Because they thought it was Hogan, but it
It
wasn't.
was Hogan, no, but it was Luger, and they were all confused. They're like, "The narcissist? Since when did he start giving a fuck about the United States?" You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it all started, I guess, from there. I think the whole narcissist gimmick never really worked for him, so they were giving him an Uber push. That's what we call in the WWF in the early days, an Uber push.
Yeah, so when everybody found out it was Luger, though, everybody was like, "Oh, shit." Because I don't know, like, Luger was over a little bit in WCW, like around the time of the NWO and stuff, but he never really was over that much. He always kind of sucked. He was really just a generic, like, rip-off of the Ultimate Warrior, anybody else that looked like that.
That's true.
So, what we watched was that Stars and Stripes Challenge where he actually slammed Yokozuna, and then we watched all the Raws that would eventually, well, not all of them, but most of them that would eventually lead up to SummerSlam.
Yeah, there's still
93.
a couple playing. You got the head shrinkers versus a couple jobbers. Funny thing about Raw then
Damn,
was...
it's fucking shitty. That's one thing about it. God almighty.
Yeah, you see the jobber matches going on there. Yeah, the majority of the matches on Raw, up until probably when Nitro started, were jobber matches. They were squash matches. So, interesting thing is, though, occasionally you'll come across some guys like P.J. Walker, who later became Aldo Montoya, then Just Incredible. And I think they had Big Vito on there. A couple other people. I think Francine was in the crowd one of these shows. So you get to see some people before they become who you later know them to be, which is kind of cool. But the matches themselves, like they were squash matches. I mean, within 2 minutes it was over with.
Yeah, not only were they squash matches, but they were like fucking. You had like the guys that were the main guys in WWF around that time were fucking jobbers themselves. So they had to find like jobbers that were worse than them, so they could job out to them. So you'd have like matches with Doink versus fucking Jimmy Riggs or something. Johnny Riggs.
Something we got to talk about though was the fucking Macho Midget.
Yeah, that was the best angle on there. Really, was for some reason the Macho Man brought out the Macho Midget, and it was like,
and that was actually its name too.
Yeah,
like this was before it was uncool to say midget.
It was a midget, but it had a Macho Man mask on, but the eye holes were cut out so he could see to wrestle. So he'd just be running around.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the same midget that was Dink later on, because he was so goddamn short. He was like one of the shortest.
All those midgets are interchangeable though around that time. You put them in masks.
Well, he was wrestling. He was wrestling. He was wrestling Little Louie.
He was. But you know you're in bad shape when you got fucking like a squash match with Bastion Booger beating some job or something.
Yeah, it was kind of. Yeah, but Raw was like, you know, a lot of things. They were actually talking about this, I think, on the Monday Night War DVD, that just how much Nitro helped, you know, Raw, if you think about it, because before Nitro came along, we were punished with these jobber matches throughout the entire show. There might have been one match, like the big match on the show we were watching last was fucking Mr. Hughes versus Tatanka.
Oh, yeah.
So that was like, they always kicked off Raw with like the biggest match of the show.
Well, another thing too though is like, this is not Raw like you're used to seeing Raw, really. I mean, there's like probably 1,000 people in the whole place, I'd say, like where they were filming. This is like the Manhattan Center, and this was like the place where they filmed all the Raws at. So it wasn't like now where they go around to different cities and stuff like that, and they're huge like 20,000 seat venues. I mean, this is basically like an ECW show from back in the late 90s.
Yeah. Some other interesting things though to mention, I mean, this is the beginning of the Bret Hart-Lawler feud, where Lawler, there was one interesting thing where I think it was Bam Bam versus Bret, and then in the middle of the match, Lawler comes out and starts harassing Stu and Helen Hart, which is hilarious. Because I think, I'm not positive, but just judging by their reaction, I don't think they knew he was actually going to come out there and say anything, because some of the stuff they were saying to him was like hilarious. Didn't make any sense.
Was like, he's saying
oh shit, look behind us, Bastion Booger up there.
He's eating a fucking one of those.
He's enjoying the hell out of that.
I always thought it would have been
So we got Bastion Booger versus Marty Jannetty. How about that for a match?
It would have been a kid idea. Why not have Bastion Booger and Bam Bam Bigelow put them together and tag team? That would have been the best shit. They basically look the same, really.
Yeah.
Bastion
Booger kind of looks like a fucking retarded version of Earthquake. If Earthquake would like shave his fucking head. You know.
Anyway,
getting back to the main angle, I guess we're going to talk about. Yeah, they gave Luger definitely the mega push. And I remember watching this when I was a kid, 13 years old, when this was actually happening. And this was when I was sort of in and out of wrestling. I mean, I was still watching it, but, not religiously. But I was thinking then, I guarantee you Luger's going to win that belt, just because how much they're pushing him. They gave him the Lex Express.
That's right. Call to action.
Yeah, the Call to Action campaign.
Whatever the hell that was. I don't even understand that, really.
So you were just assuming, and it seemed like everything, all the cards were stacked against him. You had Jim Cornette with the new contract that stated, if he doesn't win the title, he's never getting another rematch and all this. So you're like, oh, he's for sure winning the match. But that all led up to, I guess, SummerSlam of 93. SummerSlam 93. And ultimately, Uncle Bill, he didn't win the match, did he?
No, he most certainly did not.
Well, I mean, I think he did win, but it was like one of those count-out deals where he didn't win the title.
This has to be like one of the weirdest things, though, because every single one of these Raws ended with Luger either like having a little like let's meet and find out who Lex Luger is, kind of little like I don't even know like vignette thing where they would talk to him. All of them leading up to, and then they had like a contract signing and all that crap. And he cut like a big promo about what American all that, and he didn't win shit. So something had to happen. Like I don't know what it was. Like he must have told him he was going to leave, or he must have like pissed him off or something.
He stayed. He was in there for a while afterwards. I don't really know what happened. I just think ultimately like they didn't think the fans were behind him as much.
Well, no, he's a piece of shit. They must have like finally figured that out. They must be like, oh, this guy with a damn. We miscalculated.
But it was kind of weird, though, how much they pushed that. And then Luger, they'd said a couple times before, and I remember him saying in interviews that he was supposed to have got the title, but something changed. The thing with Luger is, he's not a good wrestler, but I don't think that's why they didn't give him the title. Because they've given wrestlers that can't really work that well the titles before. I mean, hell, look at fucking John Cena. The thing is with John Cena and the difference between, guys like John Cena, Randy Orton, who's some of the other guys they've given the title to that really...
Sheamus.
I don't know. I think Luger just didn't have the charisma factor. I mean, he didn't have... he looked great, he's a big roided up motherfucker. He just didn't have he wasn't the total package. Whether or not he wanted you to believe that or not, I don't think.
No. I don't know what it was about him either, but he just never... He was always really too plain, and he never had a really good gimmick. He was the one guy I can think of that he kept that gimmick his entire career. He was just Lex Luger. He was either that or the narcissist. And even when he was a narcissist, it was just Lex Luger, really. He didn't do anything differently than he did. He was just a little bit more snotty acting. When he always was kind of fucking snobbish acting anyway, though.
Yeah.
But that's just one guy who's a perfect example of somebody that kind of rode the WCW coattails from all that NWO shit for years and was never really over at all.
Yeah.
Him and Bob Holly and Jeff Jarrett. All those guys were never over.
Yeah, and the weird thing with Luger is, especially with this angle, we're talking about the Stars and Stripes challenge. Just look at all the money they put behind that, and then there wasn't a payoff at SummerSlam.
No.
And I'm thinking Yokozuna held that title up until WrestleMania the next year. I think he held on to it that long, which then I believe Bret Hart won the title. Because they did the whole deal later on with Luger and Bret at the same time touching down for the Rumble, and that led to I think they had a match with Luger and Yokozuna, and then you had Owen and Bret where they both had 2 matches in the show, but Luger won. Luger actually lost the match with the preliminary match with Yokozuna, and then after that they never really gave him any sort of world title contention, I guess, at all.
I'm guessing that they just figured out that he wasn't going to be the one to carry the company. But to be fair to Luger, the people that they did have pegged to carry the company, I think that was the worst period for that company as far as champions go and around that area anyway. Because they had Bret do it, but then they had Diesel carry it for a while. I don't think that he was a real great champion.
Diesel pretty much had it for a year straight. It was him. And then you did have Shawn Michaels here and there. That was when he was finding and losing a smile over and over again.
Yeah, but so there's a whole period there where all the champions in WWF were not they were just kind of guys that were holding on to the belt for somebody to come along and actually really make money off of, because none of those fucking guys did. And Luger certainly won't go and do it either, so I don't blame him for not giving him the belt that era.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this was a little different take on the Retro Wrestling Night. Just for 4th of July, we are actually going to take it to the extreme. Guaranteed the next one we do, which will be shortly. But I thought this would be something cool to do. Like I was saying, it's 17 years ago oddly enough, it makes me feel fucking really old. Because I vividly remember seeing this too. When all this happened. So this is 17 years ago when they first started doing the whole Lex Express deal and all that. So just thought we'd revisit that. Hey, I always think it's fun watching these old Raws. I don't know what you think, but I know that I grew up watching this kind of stuff. I don't know if you were really watching wrestling that much then.
No! Thank God!
You didn't like it?
Let me tell you something. We don't ever need to watch anything from 1993 of that shit again.
Hey,
that shit's awful.
Buddy, I'm getting the entire WCW Saturday Night Run from '93.
You can get nostalgic all you want to, but the bottom line is that shit's horrible.
God damn it, look. You got fucking Money Inc. in the ring there with Vince.
Right.
How could you and some ugly kid?
That's Husky Harris' day. We were talking about that earlier. That's Fat Ass Rotunda.
Husky Harris. Anyway, that is it. We got retro with it. With Monday Night Raw from July to August '93 and SummerSlam '93. We didn't review the whole SummerSlam '93. SummerSlam '93 is a shitty fucking pay-per-view, though.
It is.
But until next time, I'm Creepy Kentucky.
I'm Uncle Bill.
And visit us over at Retro Wrestling.net. Bitch.